Welcome back to Where You Live on Shaw TV. Like we said, we are here at Crantz Roasting Company here with Jamie Nichols. Now, I did mention that I had a really interesting question I wanted to ask. I don't know, maybe it's not really interesting, but we're going to get to it really quickly because I might forget later. We're going to talk about the brewing process and how to make a really good cup of coffee. But first, I was watching a show. This is how a lot of my conversations start. And apparently there's elephants that eat coffee beans, and then somebody goes behind them.
Yep.
And collects.
This was, I believe it's in Thailand, and it was actually a Canadian that did this, but the elephant poop coffee, yes. It's the same as the Kopi Luwak, which is pooped out of the civet, or it's a rodent.
Okay.
Some of these things aren't super ethical. The elephant one, I think, is a bit of a gimmick. The Kopi Luwak coffee, the most expensive coffee in the world, not something I would gravitate to. On either case, I think it's all a bit of a gimmick to sell really expensive coffee.
Yeah, and you've never tried it?
I've tried Kopi Luwak a long time ago. It wasn't very good.
Pass through the intestines of an animal.
But it also, there's a lot of ethical concerns now because of what they do to the civets themselves. So.
Oh, geez. Okay. So that was my question, and I just wanted to know if it was true and if it's a thing, and if you've ever tried it. That was most of all. So you have tried it. So now we know, and it's not good, so I'm not going to try it. So let's get into brewing a good cup of coffee. There's such a wide range. You know, you've got your pod coffee, you've got your drip coffee maker that most people have in their homes. You've got your, you tell me.
Bodems, French press. You can do immersion brewing. You can use something called an AeroPress. There are many, many different ways of making coffee. There are some very key things that are general rules that you can follow.
Okay, start with those.
The first one is buy local fresh coffee. That's the biggest first step. The next big step is the grinding. So always grind just before you brew. When you grind the coffee, you'll expose it to air. Air is the enemy of coffee, so you'll lose a lot of the fragrance. So you want to do that next, is just before you brew. After that, it comes down to things like water. So make sure you have a good quality water.
So not just tap water?
Thunder Bay tap water is amazing, and I find it slightly more chlorinated than I like, so I use the filter to take the chlorination out. Berta, I think, would work out fine. But your water can flavor your coffee. It is 99% of your drink, so it is going to change the flavor of coffee. After that, it comes down to going back to the grinding, is you want to use something called a burr grinder.
Okay.
So the little spinny blade grinders are they create a lot of dust.
Okay.
A burr grinder is two discs or two cones that will grind opposite one another, and they'll create a nice even grind. So what you're looking for is coffee grounds that are almost all the same size. You want to have one
of those right there.
That's correct.
Show us what it is.
So this is a hand grinder. This is called a Porlex, which is one of the ones you can buy in town. And essentially what happens is you put the coffee in the top, and then you put the handle on top, and then you'll grind.
How many times?
This, for a single cup of coffee, will take about a minute and a half.
Okay.
So I recommend people go out and look out your front window and enjoy yourself, and just enjoy the whole process. And then you'll end up with a nice even grind at the bottom.
That's one of my questions, because when I'm making my coffee at home, I grind it and I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, is it too chunky? Does it need to be finer? I don't know when to stop.
And that you're using a spinny blade grinder?
Yes.
Yeah, so you need to get a burr grinder.
Okay.
The spinny blade grinders unfortunately create too much variability.
Okay. Okay. So the grinding is important.
Absolutely. And then the next big thing is everybody believes that you need to have like a really expensive coffee maker. The drip coffee makers that you can get on the market, like at local stores and so on, are absolutely fine. There's really nothing wrong with them. The water temperature is sometimes a little bit too low, but generally speaking, they'll be fine. The big thing is the grinding. That's going to increase your cup quality a lot. And from after that, you want to really pay attention to the ratio. So the ratio of coffee to water.
And how do you do that? Because I have a Chemex. It was a gift, and such a thoughtful gift. I love it. But I'm using it, and I'm like, how much coffee to water?
That's right.
How do you figure it out?
So first of all, get a kitchen scale.
Okay.
So always do this by weight, not volume, because different beans weigh different. They're at different densities. So you want to do this first of all. So every time you change
not
your
tablespoons.
That's correct.
Weight.
And your ratio wants to be 17-1. Start with 17-1. So for every gram of coffee, you're going to have 17 grams of water.
Okay.
So the way that I do it is fill up your Chemex, weigh it. So weigh the amount of water in there.
Oh.
So if you have, say, 500 grams of water in there, divide that by 17. That'll tell you how many grams of coffee to use.
Wow.
And that's the way to start, and then you adjust it to taste. But that's the general thing. So when we go into clients' places and we help them, brew their or set up their brewers, that's the ratio that we start with. That's the SCAA, or the Specialty Coffee Association of America. That's their standard, and then you can sort of like change it from there.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. I had no idea. You have so much information. We are getting close to running out of time here, but it's the grinding, it's the beans, the grinding, and the water, and what was the last thing? My memory shot. But so it's really important. All those factors together make a really great cup of coffee. What else? Is there anything else that we need to know? The water touching the beans, is that something it has to be in contact?
The time that you brew wants to be between 2 to 5 minutes, and that's again to taste. All these things are variables that can be adjusted to your particular taste.
Okay.
But you start with 2 to 5 minutes, no matter what kind of brewing you're using, which is why pod coffee is usually not so good, because it's done within 30 seconds, and so you can't really get a good coffee out of that.
So even if I'm using your coffee in one of those refillable ones.
Correct. Basically, the extraction rate is too fast, so you're going to get a lot of sourness. You're going to lose all your volatility.
Okay. There's so much information here. How does someone like myself that, on the weekends they really want to try and take that extra time to make a nice cup of coffee? During the week, nobody's got time for that. I'll maybe people do, but I tend to be in a rush. How do people find out more information if they want to have a good cup of coffee?
There's a wealth of information online. Check out this Specialty Coffee Association of America.
Oh, okay.
They'll have a bunch of information on there. It's pretty complicated. You can contact us. You can contact any of your local roasters or your local coffee shops. They'll help you with it.
Excellent. Well, thank you to you for being a local roaster. Thank you to all the local roasting companies in town and all the local coffee shops that are putting that extra effort to have a really good cup of coffee in their buildings. And us coffee drinkers, thank you. So thank you very much, Jamie.
No problem.
Thanks for all your information here on Where You Live on Shaw TV. Keep watching. If you'd like to see anything in particular on our show, contact Janice or myself, and we'll do our best to get in touch with you. Shaw TV Thunder Bay at shaw.ca.